We got off our plane in Indonesia, and we were met after customs and formalities by two of the minders that were on the tour to look after Tommy and Glenn, really, but also to keep us out of harm's way as well. And one of them, I remember it so well, he said, "This is the greatest place on the planet." He said, "We're having," because they'd been there about 3 days, just to set everything up, make sure the hotels were right and all this kind of stuff. He said, "It's the greatest place on the planet. You will not believe what's going on."
There's a procession through the streets of Jakarta, tens and tens of thousands. We're the first band to play there from America and England, the very first band.
And we got into these cars and drove towards downtown Jakarta. In the convoy with our cars were tanks, a couple of army tanks and army people walking on the side, and people lining the highway. It was thousands and thousands of people. It was really odd. Over the top odd. And, as it turns out, portentously odd. It was all happiness, smiles, and we thought, this is astounding. We got there to the news that we'd been expected to play to about 25,000 people in this great big football stadium. They said, "Don't worry, it'll look good." But they'd actually sold 120,000 tickets. They'd also sold another night.
2 shows at a 15,000 seat venue, which was a 50 seat venue, there was 125,000 people per night packed into a 50,000 seat stadium. Let's just say it was the size of, a decent sized football stadium here. Like Chelsea, like Stamford Bridge. And then, you add another 75,000 on top of that.
And our management found out that we were only going to be paid the original sum that we had agreed to go for to play to 20,000 people. So there was a bit of a fight going on there and about that, which ultimately led, I have to say, it was that led to the death of one of those minders who was basically pushed down a lift shaft. And after the first concert.
We did the first show, a couple of songs short as normal, because we just felt an air of something was wrong here.
And there was also a riot at the concert. The police let dogs into the crowd. It was a dark, probably one of the darkest days ever in my life as a musician. I've never had a darker day than that.
7 o'clock in the morning, the police come in, the army comes in and whisked me off to jail. Patsy was dead. He had fallen down an elevator shaft 6 floors up, landed on the mezzanine, crawled down into the lobby and died.
Glenn was arrested along with one guy who was looking after him and the other minder and our manager as accessories after the fact of this murder, which is what it was. It was not an accident. The guy's name was Patsy, and he was pushed down the lift shaft after he was seen having an argument with someone.
They let me out the next day to do the second show with an armed guard on me on stage, pointing and as soon as I came off the stage, put me back in the jet, threw me back in the clink, and where we stayed another day. And at this point, I'm thinking, my life is now over.
I remember playing the second night under huge duress. You will go on, was what we were told when we didn't want to go on. And I think we played 40 minutes with heads down and tears in our eyes, really.
And on that second show, song 405, by the time we probably got to I Need Love, they let the dogs loose. And I saw people being maimed, bitten, screaming, kids, grown-ups being bitten by Dobermans, trained Dobermans. It had gone insane.
Pretty much the nastiest night of my life as a musician. Then at the airport the next morning, they'd let the tyres down on our plane, and so we couldn't take off without getting them changed and pumped up. Then they said we couldn't have the equipment to do that without paying more, so we had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get the equipment from the airport and they wouldn't let any of the airport workers do it. So the co-pilot and the flight engineer and with 4 of our roadies under their tutelage changed the tyres on the plane to enable us to take off. You can tell the story now almost as a kind of cautionary tale, almost as an after-dinner anecdote. But never forget that an Englishman lost his life. The band did go back. We were offered a chance to go back just before I left the band in the late 90s. And I went to the rest of the band and I said, I don't know what you feel about this, but I cannot go back. And a couple of them said, well, we're prepared to go if you will. And I said, no, I won't. The second I left the band, they took up the offer and went back. I don't blame them for it. I mean, it was a great offer to play to nice people. It's not the people they were playing for that we were playing for that were the problem. It was the, Madame Sukarno's thugs and the promoters' thugs.
Thank you! Woo! Thank you, Jakarta!